All right, I think this should be short and sweet, but basically, when we get to section 6.5, this is the last section for chapter 6, and it's about your Social Security and your Medicare taxes, which, again, if you've been working at all, you know that you get some money taken out for what's called FICA, and there's probably also a separate one called Medicare. The FICA is the Social Security, and then the Medicare is Medicare. So, just to talk to you a little bit about how this all works. Basically, you can see this table that I have right here. Each year is going to have a different associated maximum taxable income limit for Social Security, and then some of them even had maximum taxable income for Medicare. Most don't. Medicare is usually just your whole income, no matter how much you make. In any case, what we're going to do is we're just going to come up with a couple scenarios here and talk about how they would play out and how you would figure out the Social Security tax and stuff like that. So the first one we're going to say is, let's pretend we have someone who makes or who made $65,000 in 1994. All right, so they made $65,000, and if you look at the table, 1994, you will see pretty quickly that they have a maximum taxable income for Social Security is $60,600, and that the rate is 6.2%. Well, since 65,000 is more than 60,600, we're only going to be taking 6.2% of the 60,600. And I'll write that like this, 60.6K. So that means we're going to go to our calculator. I'll use Desmos. And we're literally just going to figure out what 6.2% of that amount is, and that's how much they're going to owe to Social Security taxes. All right, so that's 60,600 times 0.062. All right, so they owe $3,757.20. 3757.20. All right, so that's how much they owe in Social Security. Now, we can go to the Medicare taxes, and the Medicare, as you notice, doesn't have a limit at all. It's all income. So we would take 1.45% of their full income. So we take 1.45% of the full 65,000. And so that would look like this. 0.0145 times 65,000. And that would be $942.50. Okay, so combined, or I could figure out the combined amount for those two if I wanted, but that's how you would figure those out. All right, so let's say we skip ahead now, and this person's still making $65,000. They haven't received a raise, or maybe they switched jobs and they're finally back up to the same pay rate. Who knows? But let's pretend now that we're in 2001. Well, in 2001, your maximum taxable income for Social Security is $80,400, which is above the $65,000. So in this case, we would take the full $65,000 times the 6.2%. So I'm just going to change this one. 65,000 times 6.2%, and that's going to be $4,030. Is how much that they would spend in that case. And again, we do the same thing with the Medicare. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Now I'm going to give you a different scenario, and the scenario is going to be this. Let's pretend we have someone that for works two different jobs. So let's say at one job, we'll say this is in 2000, we'll say 2009. So for one job, they receive $80,000 for the year, and for the other job, they receive $40,000 for the year. Okay, well, we know that's a total of $120,000. And if we have a total of 120,000, they're only technically going to be responsible for, if we look back at 2009, $106,800 is where their Social Security limit is. 106,800. So they're going to end up paying, because these two jobs are split, they're in two different companies. The companies don't necessarily know that they have another job, and they're not supposed to assume that they have another job. So they have to just go based on what they know. So they're going to tax the full 80,000 and the full 40,000. And so what will happen is when this person goes to do their taxes, everything else will be worked out. What we want to know is kind of know ahead of time, all right, how much extra is actually going to be spent here? How much should I expect to get back on my taxes just because of this difference here? So what we'll do is we can do this a lot of different ways. I'm sure you're even thinking in your head right now what you can do. You can either figure out what the tax would be on the 120,000 and then subtract the tax that you would actually pay on the 106,800 and find the difference between those, or you could find the difference between these two first and then do the percentage. That way seems a little bit more efficient to me, so that's what I would do. So I'm going to take those two numbers and go back over to Desmos. All right, so we have 120,000. Do that. Minus, nope, there we go. Minus 10, I'm forgetting now what I had. 106,800. And we're going to take that times 0.062. All right, so what's going to happen, what that means is there's $818.40 that's actually going to be paid, will be the amount that's paid extra. Did I do that right? 1840. $818.40 total. All right, there we go. And that's basically it. So I hope that gives you a little bit of something to go by. So when you're doing some work on your assignment problems, if you get stuck, let us know. But I think that should give you a pretty good start.